going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
Now, ladies and gents, we are here back with a bit of a deck out of left field, and that deck is Springans, ladies and gents. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the profile. So starting us off, we have triple Springans Rocky. Now, just from the outset, ladies and gents, I'm going to explain what this Springans can do. So what this Springans allow is to attach themselves from either hand, field, or graveyard to a Springans XYZ monster you control, giving that obviously Springans monster some XYZ materials. And they all have this effect, which is only once per turn. On top of that, they do have an additional effect where a Springans Rocky will allow you to recur a Great Sea Gogo Ganda from your graveyard to your hand. So it actually helps you to recycle your field spell should it get popped for any reason, which is really useful. It's also a level 4, which is one of our two normal summons, so to speak, ladies and gents, from the Springans lineup. I am actually running Fallen of Albaz, and which I'll get to in a moment. So 3 Springans Rocky. Also running triple Springans Pedo. Now, Pedo allows you to tribute himself to special summon a Springans monster from your graveyard back to your field, which is really useful to get out some of your bigger Springans monsters, ladies and gents. Again, it can attach himself from hand, field, or graveyard to a Springans XYZ monster. Again, he's also a machine duplication target, which I do not play in this deck, ladies and gents. I think it's a little bit of a interesting solution to how the deck functions, putting machine duping, because if you don't see, and you do see a lot of your level 8s, you're kind of in a stuck position. So triple Springans Pedo. Next, we are running for our rest of our Springans lineup. We're running 2 Springans Branga and 1 Captain Sargas. Now, you can again mess about with these ratios, but Branga, what it allows you to do is to banish itself and a Springans card from your graveyard to be able to search for a Springans card, which is really useful. It is ash bait, and you do net real hard if you do this with this deck. However, it's still a useful effect to be able to search any Springans cards or anything in the archetype, which is super useful. Captain Sargas, he has an effect where if he's on field, you can detach a material from an XYZ monster and pop 1 card on the field, targeting, of course, and it's any XYZ monster, so it's super useful in that regard. Obviously, he's a level 8, so you can hard make any of your rank 8 XYZ monsters if you manage to get him onto the field. And there are a couple of ways that we can do that, especially with Pedo, as well as some of our additional engines. So double Springans Branga and 1 Captain Sargas. Next up, we are running the big bad boss daddy himself. Well, I say boss daddy, he's just a major interruption, is Fallen of Albaz. Now, I've elected to go for 2 here. I'm still messing about with the ratios, ladies and gents. I'm still trying to figure out which works best, and I haven't actually had a chance to fully play test this deck, but definitely look out for a live duel coming to the channel soon. So Fallen of Albaz, what he allows you to do is when he's normal or special summon, if he can actually discard a card and fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using himself and an opponent's monster, which is super useful. Now, obviously, I haven't decided whether I want to go first or second with this deck because it's a little bit of an iffy situation, but I'm running 2 Fallen of Albaz for that reason. You can obviously use the 3rd in your side deck, which I have got him in my side, and I'll go through that in a moment, but just 2 Fallen of Albaz. We're also running a small Dogmatica package in the form of 1 Fleur de Lis, 1 Aishan, 1 Ecclesia, 1 Aishan, 1 Fleur de Lis, and 1 Maximus. Now, I would like another Fleur de Lis, but these have just absolutely skyrocketed in price. It's crazy how much Ecclesia is right now. I would like to run a second Ecclesia just to be able to boost the consistency of the deck. You know what Dogmaticas do by now, ladies and gents. These guys have been running a riot. Every deck seems to be playing some kind of Dogmatica where it can. Next up, we have a few extenders. So we are running double Danger Ogopogo. I would potentially put another one in just to make easy rank 8s, ladies and gents. You do see dangers, and it actually helps to cycle through your deck and to get some of your Springans into the graveyard. So double Danger Ogopogo. If I could play Bigfoot, ladies and gents, I definitely would put him in. I don't know where he is. I'm not too sure what deck he's in, but definitely put Bigfoot over the Ogopogo. We're also running triple Danger Thunderbird. Again, this deck suffers real hard to back row, so Thunderbird is not a so much of a problem, so to speak, being in this deck, and it does help to take care of back row should it be sniped out of your hand. So triple danger Thunderbird is also a level 8, which is super important, especially in this deck when you're running Fallen of Albaz and looking at some of our extra deck options. For the hand traps, I've elected to go with triple Ghost Bow. This could be anything, ladies and gents. It could be Ash Blossom, obviously. It could be Ghost Bow. It could be DD Crow. It could be Droll and Lockbird. It's whatever you choose, whatever your preference is, so to speak. So I've just gone for the Ghost Bow. Yeah. Now, I will say that this is a bit of a fun deck, ladies and gents. Nothing too competitive. It's not going to be taking any regionals, but it will definitely be something interesting to mess about with at your locals. So moving on, we have 4 copies of the field spell, which is Great Sea Gold Golganda. Now this is kind of like where the deck revolves around, and it's really important to get your field spell up and established as early as possible. Hence we're trying to max out on it at the moment. Now there is a bit of a support coming out in Lightning Overdrive, but that is not here as yet. So this is what we are working with. So Great Sea Gold Golganda allows you to basically discard a Springans card to special summon a Springans XYZ monster from your extra deck straight to your field. So it's really useful. Also, if a XYZ monster leaves the field due to a card effect, you can target one monster your opponent controls. It cannot attack for the rest of the turn, so there's a little bit of protection. Not great, but definitely something very valuable, being able to cheat your extra deck monsters straight out of the extra deck onto the field. Now you do need to bear in mind, if you do summon it this way, it can't be summoned in any other way from extra deck, from the graveyard back onto the field, because it was not correctly summoned. So do keep that in mind, ladies and gents. Moving on, we have triple Spriggan's Watch. This is a fantastic search card, to be honest. So if you play your Spriggan's Watch and you've got no field spell in the field spell zone, you can actually search the field spell. If you do have the field spell in the field spell zone, you can actually search out a Spriggan's monster, which is just super useful. I've maxed out on this just for consistency's sake, being able to see my Spriggan's monster as much as possible, especially with the need for them to be discarded for this field spell to activate in order to get my XYZ monster on the field. Also, for a bit of disruption, because turn 1 boards are a little bit dubious with this deck, it potentially could be a go in second deck, but like I said, once I get the live duel done, I will have a bit better of an idea of how to fully optimize this deck. So we've gone for double XYZ import. Basically it allows you to attach one of your opponent's monsters with an attack that is equal or lower to one of the XYZ monsters you control as an XYZ material. So it's a nice form of disruption, especially if time while it can kind of end your opponent's turn as well, especially taking away the resources from your opponent's side of the field. So double XYZ import. I'm also running 1 Raigeki for a bit of disruption and 2 Forbidden Chalice. I do have the third one in the side deck, ladies and gents. It's just another flexible card, being able to just basically negate one of your opponent's monsters. Again, it does target, so you do need to be aware, and Raigeki is just a nice little surprise for your opponent. You draw that, it's just it's a nice feeling. Now onto the traps. We are running 5 traps, and 2 of those traps are, in fact, I'll just go for all 3. We've got Spriggan's Call, Dogmatica Encounter, and Spriggan's Blast. So Spriggan's Blast allows you to target a zone, not the monster, target a zone. And if there is a monster in it, you can negate that monster's effects and it can't attack for the rest of the turn. If you control a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as a material, you can target up to 2 zones, which is super useful, especially as we are running Albaz in this deck. Dogmatica Encounter allows you to grab one of your Dogmaticas or Fallen of Albaz from your graveyard and either add it to your hand or special summon it, which is just super useful. And then obviously Spriggan's Call, it allows you to special summon one of your Spriggan's monsters or a Fallen of Albaz from the graveyard. It does have a graveyard effect, which is super useful, but the main reason is just to get Albaz back out. Hence why I'm only playing 2 Albaz, because I can recur it through a couple of these traps. Now I don't want to brick on these traps, so I'm obviously just playing them at 1, because hopefully you should have established your Explorer, which is one of your Spriggan's XYZ monsters, in order to be able to kind of like control the board and just do various things basically. So yeah. And for the final 2 traps, to make it a nice 40, I'm running double Dogmatica Punishment. We all know what this does. consistency sake, you can get your Ecclesia out of your deck by sending Titanic Clad. You can also send the Iron Dash Dragon to be able to special summon a Springans monster straight from your deck. There's so many things you can do with this card. It does lock you out of extra deck until the end of your next of your opponent's turn, so you do need to bear that in mind. So timing is key with this card, but if you're established, you should be have no problems using it. It's a nice targeted pop, so yeah, Dogmatic Punishment. Next, ladies and gents, we are on to the extra deck, and we are playing triple Springans Explorer. So what this card allows you to do is, once it is special summoned to the field, it gains attack due to the field spell's effect, which I didn't mention. The field spell actually gives all your Springans XYZ monsters 1000 attack. So this card can detach materials and target your opponent's zone and pop cards adjacent and above or below it. So it basically makes a bit of a cross. It's like battleships basically. So you can pop something above the zone that you targeted, below it, and to the sides of it, which is super useful depending on how many XYZ materials you detach. So if you have at least 3 Springans XYZ monsters in rotation, you can pop up to 3 cards on your turn just consistently, and it's really difficult to keep up with the advantage that this card generates. Again, it is probably a going second card, ladies and gents, so I'm not too sure on whether or not it does well in the first turn board. But it does allow you for a bit of protection by being able to banish itself until the end phase and leaving the field basically. So yeah, triple Springans Explorer. Next up, for some weird obscure monsters, we are running the 1 Aegeon the Sea Castrum, 1 number 22 Zombie Stein, and 1 Dingisu Orcus of the Evening Star. Dingisu is a nice protection as well as a non-targeting send. Zombie Stein is a nice monster negate as well as being a 4500 attack monster. You can sometimes bring him out using your danger monsters. And then Aegeon the Sea Castrum, this is an interesting card. I didn't realize how good this card was just in terms of disruption. So what this card allows you to do is target one of your opponent's randomly face down extra deck monsters and banish it face up, and then this card gains attack equal to the attack of the banished monster, which is super useful, and this can activate during either player's turn. Also, during either player's turn, you can shuffle back in one of your opponent's banished XYZ synchro or fusion monsters, and then pop 1 card your opponent controls with the same type, which is just super useful. More so is the disruption, which I like about this card, just being able to consistently snipe your opponent's extra deck monsters. It makes for a very, very interesting duel. So 1 Aegeon the Sea Castrum. For a rank 4, we've got a single rank 4 in the form of Light Dragon at Ignista. There are obviously other options that you could go for, but I just like it because it's a little bit of a mini Dingisu, being able to protect your field from card destruction by detaching a material, as well as being able to just pop a face-up card on the field equal to the number of at Ignista monsters you control, which it does include himself, so you can just pop 1 card as well, so super useful. Next up for the fusion monsters, we are running triple Titanic Clad the Ash Dragon. You know what this card does by now. Dogmaticas are everywhere. Adds a Fallen of Albaz or special summons it, and you can also special summon a Dogmatica monster. So triple Fallen of Albaz, super useful. It also gains attack equal to the levels of the monsters, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, it is unaffected by the activated effects of monsters special summoned from the extra deck. Yeah, so it does have actually a second ability. It's not just to be able to be dumped off Dogmatic Punishment. So triple Titanic Led the Ash Dragon. Next up, another card out of Blazing Vortex. I actually quite like this card. It is Spring the Iron Dash Dragon. Again, it's a Fallen of Albaz target. So what this card allows you to do is during the main phase, you can move it to any of your zones, and it blows up all the cards in that zone. A little bit like Iron Dragon to Merton, which is just super useful just to get a wipe of a column. Also, obviously, if this card gets sent to the graveyard or is in the graveyard during the end phase, you can either special summon out a Springans monster or a Fallen of Albaz, which is super useful. We're also running the 1 Brigand, the Glory Dragon. Again, it's just a nice another Albaz target. So yeah. And then finally, we are running the 1 outer entity Entis. This is basically just there to be able to have an additional pop off dogmatic punishment. So yeah. And that is it for the deck, ladies and gents. Okay, ladies and gents, what I thought I would do is show you a bit of a first turn setup. Now, it is a bit of a 3-card combo, ladies and gents, because again, this deck doesn't actually put up the most intimidating boards going first. So you could argue that this is a going second deck, but nonetheless, we are going to try our best to be able to set up going first. So first and foremost, we've got Springans Watch, we've got a Springans Pedal, and we've also got a Captain Sargas. So what we're going to do is, let's put these to the side for a moment. We're going to activate our Springans Watch. Now, because we do not control the field spell, we can search the field spell from our deck to our hand. So that is going to go to the graveyard, ladies and gents. We're just going to put the graveyard here, and then we're going to add the field spell. We're going to activate the field spell. Put the field spell just over here so you can see it. We're going to activate the field spell and then we're going to activate its effect to discard a card. And in this instance, we're going to discard our Captain Sargas to the graveyard to be able to special summon out our Spriggan ship Explorer. We then can normal summon our Pedal, activate Pedal's effect to tribute himself off to be able to special summon our Captain Sargas back from the graveyard. Let's just put these down here in the zones. Back from the graveyard. Now then we can actually activate our Pedal from grave to attach itself to a Spriggan ship Explorer. So what we've got here set up on the field, ladies and gents, is just basically one interruption. We've got a pop in the form of Captain Sargas, and we've also got a little bit of protection to be able to banish our Spriggan ship Explorer on your opponent's main or battle phase, activating the field spell, which allows you to target a monster your opponent controls and it cannot attack. So it's really useful, really useful. Again, it's not the most intimidating of boards. Just having a 1 pop on the field is not really anything to be proud of, but backed up with some of your other monsters, you can actually at least make it until turn 2. So yeah. But anyway, ladies and gents, that is Spriggan. Definitely a deck I'm in the testing phase with, and I will be doing a revised list probably just before Lightning Overdrive comes out, and then after Lightning Overdrive comes out, because I do like the mechanic, being able to play something quite unique and just kind of like play battleships with your opponent, basically. Just something that I find really interesting. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, ladies and gents, and if you did, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I would definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoy. Peace.